Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. We got a great show tonight. We're going to have Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel join us. We're going to talk some news, including the release of tickets for D23 2024. We've got a new top 3 segment, and then we're also going to talk some deck building when it comes to Lorcana cards. So stick with us. Good show tonight. So see you in a bit. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. It's a new year. It's our second show of the year now, so if you haven't seen our first, check it out. It's over on the YouTube channel. But we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to Disney, especially D23. We've got Peter from Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel joining us here in a bit. He's been working on his new studio setup, so hopefully he's got a little bit more up and ready to go this week. So just waiting for him to jump on the Zoom while we're waiting. It is cold in a lot of places around the country. We are in the central Indiana area, and it was all of 3 degrees this morning. It was like -2 or -3 yesterday morning, like ambient air temperature, not with the wind chill. Kids have had a couple of late starts for school, which is nice. I know my daughter enjoys sleeping in a little bit and not having to get up and just run off to school in the morning. So she has appreciated these greatly. We are looking at planning our first Disneyland trip a little bit later this year. So if you've got any fantastic dining options over there that you'd like for us to check out, love to hear your input. You can always put them in the chat, put them in the comments, reach out to us over on the website, wixsite patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. You can let us know over there. So wherever you can get in contact with us, you can reach out and give us those recommendations. We've had some great ones from some friends we know have been there before, so looking forward to checking out some more places when we go out there this time. So news this week, like I said, lots of news. We got D23. He sent another link. Okay. So let's check this one out. D23 gave us the ticket release date. So come on, get out of there, Peter. This is gonna be annoying if we have a new link every week. It is what it is, what we got to do sometimes. But no, D23, we have a release date for the tickets on that now. So wow, I am like super unstable. So I'm muted. I shouldn't be muted. I probably hear myself now. Okay, waiting for him there. We've got a camera. We've got a piece of art. Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me? All right. I hear you moving around, so as soon as you're ready to go, give me the okay signal, and we'll get you on over here. But yeah, that's what I was kind of saying, is that if we have to do a new meeting ID every week, it'll be kind of annoying. So, all right, so Peter's about ready. We're gonna go ahead and bring him on, and we'll start talking some news here. Mr. Salvadori, how you doing?
Still sitting in a mostly bare room. I had ideas of getting some stuff done, and then I fell asleep for 2 hours.
For everybody that sees our his screen, he has a "you're muted" thing on there. I can't get it to go away, so it says I'm muted on your side. I don't know why. I'm not. So, all right. I would go ahead and hit the timer. It's going to be one of those nights, I think. So, go ahead and get into the news here. So, a couple of big pieces of news. We got the ticket release for D23. I want to spend some time on D23 because I'm still kind of miserably upset that we didn't get more out of the 100th Disney 100 D23. But D23 2024, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event, will go on sale starting March 26th. It will be off sale on March 26th as well. It took 3 hours to sell out last year, and that was for all of the tickets.
How long were you in the queue?
What's that?
How long were you in the queue?
40 minutes. So yeah, so it'll sell out on the 26th. Now the couple events that won't sell out, the pre-game or the pre-D23 thing at Anaheim Stadium for the Angels game probably won't sell out. And then some of the after hours events that they're going to do at the Honda Center, which is where the Ducks play, those will be hard pressed to sell out. At least a couple of them will be hard pressed to sell out. I'm imagining that we're going to get sellouts across the board because, in all reality, we're due for something big. And I almost purposely made the top 3. What are they going to announce at D23 this year? But I figured we'd wait till later in the year because we'll have some more clues. But it sounds like we might get an announcement on the Beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad project. So,
well, it's been 2 years, so it's about the time to put some stuff underneath the blue sky.
Well, and in the Country Bears kind of promo that they did, they said more to come in, what is that? Wow, I just drew a blank. Frontierland. Which would lend me to think that, hey, here comes the next phase for that Beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. But yeah, it's, again, we didn't get a whole lot of new stuff. We got a lot of ideas, not a whole lot of new stuff. But tickets for D23 are going to go on sale on March 26th. I wonder if they've got tickets here. They have no ticket pricing. Yikes. Last year it was, what, 300 and something for the weekend, I think. Yeah. And it was, because I think altogether it was like 720 something for the both of us for the weekend. And that was just for the standard seating. Nothing super special out of it. And then they had the like $700 It was $750 for the weekend for the VIP passes that got you closer seating, I guess. I don't know that it got anything else.
I mean, we all were held captive.
We were all held captive. The story that will live on in infamy.
Yeah, Disney just, I don't know if this is necessarily D23. It's on the topic of D23. They got to put, they keep talking ideas of grandeur, but they really got to put shovels in the ground, I feel, with, Epic Universe is coming in 25, and all of the construction photos and all of the, leaked imagery and all of that stuff. I mean, it's going to be remarkable. If it's a half as cool, like between the How to Train Your Dragons area and the Nintendo area and the DreamWorks area and a third Harry Potter area, I mean, Epic Universe is like 1.5 sizes times the size of either Islands of Adventure or Studios. It's like a whole third area where you have to actually bus or transport over there. I mean, it's a thing. It's a whole. They're really going to create something, I think. Because by the time that's done, Universal will have itself like 7 or 8 hotels and 3 parks plus a big water park. I mean, you're most of the way to Disney World at that point. You're missing 1 park and 1 water park, and Epic Universe is going to be something. So
yeah,
there's a little bit of a Cold War going on down in Central Florida, and well, I'm just saying, like, guess we'd consider the U.S. as Disney, and Russia's making some moves.
If you guys are watching on the live stream tonight, we are relatively unstable right now, so if it's choppy and that kind of stuff, just hang with us. I'll get this posted again afterwards, with a clean copy from the recording. So
Matt forgot to pay his internet bill, so he's just tethered to his phone.
No. I'm Spectrum, which should be like Disney friendly, I guess, but apparently not for the podcast tonight because I'm getting horrible upload speeds right now. Yeah, my streaming speeds are terrible. But yeah, so with that being said, D23 goes on sale on the 26th of March. D23 is in early August this year, so going out to Anaheim for that. And like I said, most of your major announcements are going to happen at the Honda Center. So with that being said, they've got a venue that's going to hold 17,000 people probably. They're going to announce some stuff there. You're probably going to get this. Yeah, you're probably going to get to see like a burner of the Mandalorian movie. There's all kinds of stuff coming. So, good luck. Good luck. I don't know if you saw, this isn't Disney related, but Icon of the Seas pulled into Miami this week. Holy cruise ship. The thing is enormous.
Yeah, that just, and that's Carnival's new big flagship. And, basically so far in our news, we have talked about, hey, Disney.
Yeah. Oh, but they're getting a Vineyard Vines at Disney Springs. Don't you feel like that's about 7 years too late?
Yeah, Vineyard Vines there? Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it would, so on that topic though, obviously Vineyard Vines more than anything is a fashion statement, right? More than anything else.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool to see some like Disney exclusive Vineyard Vines stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, but it feels like Disney's reacting a lot.
Well, and let's just talk about that. Like, they have a Lululemon, and the store is way too small, and doesn't do anything Disney exclusive. Like, what an absolute miss by both companies.
We just want to pay for the space, not for the rights to actually do something Disney that would sell and get people into the store.
Like, they could literally have none of their regular product and just have the store full of Disney product, and they would just rake. I mean, all of these people that are walking through Disney Springs are, well, I mean, I'm obviously not all, but a huge percentage of women walking through Disney Springs are also those, oh my God, I love Lululemon leggings type of people. I said that exactly how my wife would say it, just for the record.
Yes,
she is one of those people.
I heard the Jesse coming out there, so.
Right, it was basically spot on. It was an uncanny impersonation.
Garden Rocks. Garden Rocks is part of International Flower and Garden Festival. We got the full lineup, well, at least mostly full lineup. And it's
here are all the people we've booked thus far.
Yeah.
No, these are surprises. We promised they're surprises. Okay, yeah, you just haven't booked any.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the same people. You know, Berlin, Rick Springfield, Richard Marks, Modern English, Blue October, Flock of Seagulls, Plain White Tees, Starship, Herman's Hermits. It's a lot of the same bands that they've brought in. Simple Plan's going to be there for 4 nights, which is awesome. I love a Simple Plan.
I do like Simple Plan a
and
lot.
then Lit. This is one thing that might pull me down there, is to see Lit at Epcot, because Lit was one of my all-time favorite bands growing up. So that'd be really cool to see them there. But yeah, so the schedule is all over the place. Flower and Garden's going to go basically through Memorial Day weekend, and then they get into food and wine. What's surprising is that Flower and Garden's going for almost a month shorter than normal this year.
Let me look at the dates.
Where'd it go? Post. I know, I reposted a lot of stuff.
February 28th through May 27th. So yes, this last year it went into
July.
late June.
No, it went to July.
Yeah.
Went to my birthday.
Hold on. What is? I don't think
Lots of new topiaries coming with Flower and Garden this year, though. There's going to be a Groot topiary over by Cosmic Rewind. There were a lot of...
You know, so they obviously haven't released Food and Wine, but Food and Wine's typically a late July type of a thing. I actually support this. These dates make a heck of a lot more sense because, I mean, last year I went to Flower and Garden Festival 3 different times. Like it just, by the time I went in June, it felt like, okay, this is done. Like, what are we still doing, limping this thing along? Like, sure, it was great to step in, but yeah, end of May gives basically the entire month of June and most of the month of July for Epcot to just kind of let itself be Epcot, and then you know, Food and Wine kick up. It does also open up Epcot to do something kind of like fun for like 2 or 3 weeks there in mid-June to early July, do some type of a summer celebration or something along those lines. But to still have the Flower and Garden Festival in late June, like, dude, these things bloomed 3 months ago.
Disney Lorcana released the new trailer for into the Inklands on the 11th. So it is going to release March the 8th.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I have seen on that front is that it appears that Into the Inklands is going to include locations.
Yes.
And so it's going to be a brand new card type that is going to have a new side set of rules. And I don't know much more about it. This is just me more kind of predicting. So I think it'll be very interesting. I got to imagine that like the locations are likely going to be tied to inks and other aspects of character cards, to where if you play this location and it says all Floodborn characters gain +1 lore when questing, or something along those lines. I can't imagine, I gotta still imagine, I should say, I gotta still imagine that I gotta play them in the same way. I gotta expend that ink, or maybe something else, like you must have blank number of this type of character in play before placing this location, or something like that, some type of a prerequisite of how you build your tableau out to force you to say, I'm going to ink this card, not this card, because I got to get this card in play.
Yeah, I've been, now that we've played a little bit, and I've gotten a few cards and that kind of stuff. I've been watching some YouTube stuff and kind of getting into it how I would like anything else that I was learning how to do, and some of the stuff that's coming out with this now, a lot of it is like unverified releases and that kind of stuff. But the cards are going to play towards the locations, and you're going to gain benefits with those cards in those locations.
Yeah, and from what I've read, they also like give a set lore per turn, and then your characters, instead of just sort of being in play, are kind of in play at the location. I'm looking at one of the concept arts of Maleficent's Castle, the Forbidden Mountain, and the card is basically sideways. So you've got your ink cost, and whether it's an inkable card, up in the corner like normal, but then instead of the picture and the text and all of that good stuff, you are
so basically this is what a regular card looks like.
Yeah, and then so essentially the one that I'm looking at here is essentially like the picture and everything about it. I just lost it. Just loaded the trailer, even though I had no interest in seeing it. So yeah, you've got your card, your normal card, and then the ink is still in that upper corner, but then the rest of it, if you turn the card, that's really what you've got. And you've got some new artistry on the left that I'm not sure what that means. Oh, it's no, see, it's a new thing. So here's what the quick guide says. You play them or ink them the same way, and then you place them horizontally. They don't need to dry. At the start of your turn, in the beginning phase, you'll gain lore for the number of for like each location, even when the location is empty. You can challenge location cards always, because they don't exert; they're always sitting there sideways.
Yeah.
It's a move cost. That's what it is. So there's a new icon on them called the move cost, where you have to pay that much ink to move a character there.
Okay.
You can move between locations, but you can't leave a location unless you're forced to leave it. If you banish a location, the characters fall out and go back to your board. And characters aren't protected in locations. So and they can still do all their normal stuff, but the locations can't challenge or quest or anything like that. But you can heal them if it says remove X amount of damage. It will also apply to locations. So
okay.
Pretty cool. Like, I'm very much looking forward to Into the Inklands now. Obviously, it's gonna suck right when they release, but I look forward to buying the 24-box booster box for 1.5 times the retail cost of it, because I just can't help myself, dear God, and that both of those starter decks. So I'm looking forward to getting those 2 starter decks and a big old box of 24 card packs, and then wondering how I'm going to pay my mortgage that month. No,
there you go.
Kidding.
There you go. No, I'll be standing at World of Disney and Disneyland to get into.
Is that the day they release?
Yep.
What day do they release to the public?
March 8th.
I will not be standing there, but I'll be at the FLG.
Yeah, your friendly local game store that is going to overcharge you. All right, that's the news. Let's go ahead. Let's get into a top 3 here. Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. Hey, what's going on? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. Over on the other screen was Peter with Princess and the Mouse Disney Travel. I have... Uh-oh. I hear Chewie. Chewie is back.
No, that was me. I was calling for him, hoping he'd show up.
No luck.
No, he didn't say anything back. I do have... Hold on. We do have...
I think you need a few more card boxes.
Sorry, she's so loud. Okay, what?
I said I think you need a few more card boxes.
I only have, yeah. Well, when Into the Inklands releases, I will have 6 more.
All right, it's top 3 time. If
I'm
you've been here before,
for our next segment, butthead.
If you've been here before, great. You know what's going to happen. If you haven't been here before, I'm going to pull a chip out of this bag here. It corresponds to a number on our spreadsheet, and we are going to have 30 seconds to come up with our top 3 or our bottom 3 of that category. I actually updated everything today, so we're not going to run into duplicates or anything like that. So let's see what number we pull out today. We are pulling out number 22. Look at that. Man, it's nice when the camera works. And number 22 is going to be... Next one. 22. Ah, this is a good one. Top 3 reasons to take an adult-only trip.
Are you sure we haven't done this one?
We have not. You've got...
we did top 3 things on what to do on an adult.
Yeah, so this is why. Why would you take that trip? You got 30 seconds.
Thinking about taking a trip to Disneyland, Disney World, maybe a Disney cruise, or one of the other amazing Disney destinations? Contact me at Princess of the Mouse, and I'd love to work with you on your itinerary to the most magical places in the world.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel.
All right, our top 3 tonight is... Why would you take an adults-only trip to Walt Disney World? We're going to give you 6 reasons, probably more because Peter likes to cheat on these. So, I mean, it is what it is. Just kind of have to deal with it sometimes.
You're like 3.5.
You got like 3.5. Okay.
Right now, no, I have one.
As he stuffs a chip in his face. I'll let you go ahead and go first.
Up, okay, this is going to take a lot out of me. I got fuel up.
All right, I'll go ahead and let you go first. I've got a couple, so since you've got one, why are we taking adult-only trips to Walt Disney World?
I don't know. I got like 3 things written. I don't know which one. Okay. Let's go with this. So, in an adult-only trip, one of the things that you can really do is you can take advantage of the nightlife on the boardwalk, is what I am going to go with. So, it's kind of clumping a bunch of things in, but I don't think I'll steal too much away from Matt or I. I think we'll be able to have plenty of reasons for you to take those adult-only trips. But the boardwalk, for those of you that don't know where it is out that back entrance of Epcot in between France and the UK. And when you go up that hill, if you continue straight down the hill, you'll get to Yacht and Beach Club. And if you go left, you will get to the boardwalk. It's themed exactly like it sounds. It is a New England style boardwalk area around a cape, but obviously this cape is just simply a little lake that allows boats to travel from Epcot to Hollywood Studios with plenty of other ports in between. And as you go down that boardwalk, you've got Cake Bake Shop, and you've got the quick service bakery, and you've got Trattoria al Forno, and all of these things. But then you start to get to things where on a trip with kids, you're not going to be able to appreciate. And I'm going to talk only about 2 of them in this nightlife on the boardwalk. And that is all the way at the end of the boardwalk. If you continue to walk till you're just about out of it, along that left-hand side, past Boardwalk Inn and the villas, you will get to 2 things. You will get to Jelly Rolls, and Jelly Rolls is a dueling piano bar. And I'm not saying you can't take kids there, but the party doesn't really start to liven up until after dark. And so an adult-only trip is a perfect time to go and visit Jelly Rolls and take in the dueling pianos, enjoy some late-night cocktails, and really just put a nightcap on your night. And directly across from that is the Atlantic Dance Club. And the Atlantic Dance Club plays dance music into the night, drinks, cocktails, dance music. It has a dance floor. The music varies from old school like swing dancing all the way up to like new school pop and new hits and everything else like that. And so it is a lively night scene. So I'm going to say the nightlife on the boardwalk, after you have taken that all in and you are closing out your night, hopefully you're staying at the boardwalk or the beach or the yacht, because just walking along that boardwalk late at night, the tranquility of the splashes of the waves well after the is just a magical moment. Just kind of grabbing that last is a great way to nightcap a night on an adult-only trip. So probably could have been.
Man, you're super choppy. Come on. Did we get you back? There we go. He's back. You were like right at the end of yours, and then you got super choppy all of a sudden. So, no, you're good. You're good. Okay, so my number three is going to be very similar to Peter's, and it's going to be Trader Sam's Grotto. Trader Sam's, again, is another place you can do with kids during the day, but it becomes a lot of fun at night. You know, Peter and Jesse introduced Shannon and I to it in our last trip, and it is a ton of fun. All of the unique drinks and the fun that happens when you order the unique drinks is a lot of fun to be had. And, you know, I'm not one that drinks in front of my kids a whole lot, so to be able to go there and have a few concoctions and have some fun. Definitely something that, you know, I wouldn't do on a family trip per se, as much as I would do on an adults only trip. So my number 3 is going to be of the same ilk, and it's going to be Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. Let's go ahead and get to our number 2s. What are you going to go with for your number 2, Peter?
Well, here's the deal. I'm very torn on a lot of different things. But I guess because there's so many reasons to do this. There really are. If you have never taken an adult only trip, I strongly consider doing this. I'm going to go with this. An adults only trip is a wonderful time to do it, because a lot of times Am I working?
You're working now. So it was basically like, hey, it's an awesome time to do it, and I got tore out of it. So
hold on, I'm closing everything in my computer to try and hopefully help this network quality. I'm also going to minimize this team screen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's you or me tonight. Like I said, my internet seems to be kind of buggy tonight. So.
All right, so we'll see if this works. I closed everything. The only thing running on my computer is this Teams. So hopefully it can get through. So yes, as I was saying, my number 2, an adults only trip is a great time to do a tour. Tours with kids, I have done a few of them, and they've gone okay, but a tour without any kids is a significantly better experience, because what you get in a tour, beyond just a unique experience, is you get history, you get adventure, you get knowledge that you wouldn't normally get. And you know, if you have an older kid, could you do these things, you know, with a teenager? Absolutely. But if you're toting like a 7-year-old around or an 8-year-old around, you're really, really robbing yourself of the true experience that the tour is trying to give you. My wife and I have now done a couple of special events / tours on our adult-only trips. We did a highway in the sky dining. That was just an amazing culinary experience. And when we got to the main course, they straight up took the family that brought kids and put them elsewhere, and they took all the couples and put them into the wine cellar table, because they were like, you all are here for this reason and they're here for a different reason.
Yeah.
And we want you to enjoy. The Highway in the Sky dining tour was meant to be a high-end couples experience. Like, it's straight up, even in the description was like, kids are welcome-ish. They better be at least 14, but like, it was, if you read the verbiage, it was like the strongest Disney can say is be like, leave your kids out of this one. Right? Same thing, my wife and I did the Wild Africa trek, which is always amazing. And having kids along would have been absolutely fine. It would have been a really cool experience. But when we did it the first time, I'm really glad it was just us enjoying the moment and enjoying the experience together, which will probably tie into my number 1. So I'm going to stop talking about that concept, because although I could go about with very specific things, I think I've got my number 1 hammered in. But I do have plenty of +1s in case you steal it. So
no.
Yeah.
So
doing those tours or special events.
Yeah, the tours, you know, Shannon and I did the Yuletide fantasy tour, which was awesome, and I don't know that the kids would have got as much out of it as we did. And then you know, we're going.
Think how distracted you would have been if Braden was sitting there going, "Hey, look at that, Daddy."
Yeah, exactly. And then we were looking at the Footsteps of Walt tour out in Disneyland, and we were like, do we want to do this with the kids, because they're just not going to get the same thing out of it that Shannon and I would but you get to be in Walt's office.
Shannon is okay with it, so I'm telling you this: if Shannon's okay with it, let her go spend a few hours with the kids, and you go do it. No, you need to go do this to her, and not feel guilty about taking a few hours to yourself. If Shannon's okay with it.
Yeah, no, Shannon wants to go to Walt's office. That's the problem. She is just as big of a Disney nut as I am. So yeah.
Then Allie will watch Braden. Tell him to go get in line.
She's 13. I mean, she's California legal.
Right. we have thought about that the last couple of trips. Like, could Addie and Bryce, while Jesse and I like sit and have a drink, would we trust them to go wait a ride line? And I'm getting closer to saying yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
all right.
My son's got a park map in his head too at this point. Sorry.
All right. So my number two is enjoying the countries in Epcot. It ties back, and I feel like all three of mine are going to tie back to drinking in some form or fashion, because we do more of that when the kids aren't there. But even when it's just Shannon and I,
an alcoholic.
we tend to do the countries a little bit differently, and I think it's more just you don't have to cater to the things that the kids are going to enjoy in the countries. So there's some times where we can just rush by these certain shops and rush by certain rides and do the things that we want to do without having to worry about, well, Braden really likes to go into this shop and Allie really likes this store, and the kids really always like to get snacks at this quick service. We can do it a lot differently, and I think in World Showcase it really kind of comes out in my mind a lot more than other places in the parks, just because of everything that you can do that is more like high end in those showcases as well. You have the drinks, you got La Cava, you've got Le Cellier, you've got some really nice places to eat, that kind of stuff. So it just kind of changes your ability to tour without the kids. So my number two is going to be doing World Showcase a little bit differently. Okay, so let's get to our number one. So Peter, before we get to your number one, where can people find you?
Facebook is the best way, but I've had a couple of clients recently come in through our website that scrolls through this podcast as well. So those are both of the ways where if you start searching for Disney travel agents, especially if you're in Indiana, my name's going to slide its way towards the upper part of that list, just locationally. Or if you do live in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, thank you, Skibbas. My name comes to the top of the list very quickly.
The official Disney travel agent of Sturgeon, Wisconsin.
That's right. Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin's unofficial Disney travel agent. So yeah, thank you. Shout out to the Skibbas for all of that. Wonderful clients. So yeah, find me on Facebook, send me a message. We'll message back and forth. Ultimately, we'll see if it's a fit and all of that, and then we'll go over to a phone conversation, then ultimately to text messages back and forth, phone calls back and forth, getting you all set up for your amazing trip. New deals on that topic all the way out until the fall of this year are released. And so if you have a trip booked or you want a trip booked, reach out, because there might be a deal available for you.
And Disney Plus releases their deals this week. So
yeah. Deals galore.
Yeah.
Disney is expensive when you buy it off the rack, but when you put a deal on it, you sit there and go, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
For like park tickets, hotel, theming, entertainment, experience, if you were to go to Cedar Point for a week, you'd be staying in a crappy hotel with nothing to show for it, and you'd be 2/3 of the way there in cost. So
yep.
Anyway, so my number one is reason to take an adult trip down to Disney is the pace and enjoying the company of those around you. Matt kind of alluded to it. I kind of alluded to it in other parts of this top 3. But when you are with the kids want to ride this, and they want to go do this, and they want to buy this, and they want to get that, and they want to eat that treat, and they want to stop there, and they got to go to the bathroom, and they got to go to the playground, and they got to go to that ride, and they got to go to that ride. And then we got to play on everything in Figment when we get out of Figment, and we got to touch everything in Spaceship Earth when we get out of Spaceship Earth, and we got to touch every gem in the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train line, and we gotta. I think I made my point.
You did.
So
you did.
When you are in an adults-only trip, Matt already talked about it. World Showcase. It takes a whole new light, right? When you're there with the kids, you're tunnel visioned on, okay, they're starting to get a little bit antsy. They've stared at their device long enough. We got to get rolling. Not so much on the adult trip. You go grab that second drink. You go back to that stand and grab another one of those event festival foods because it was so stinking good. You just sit here for an hour, no big deal type of a mindset. When you're on that adults only trip, when you're in Magic Kingdom, you're sitting there thinking, what do I want to do versus what are all the things we have to do?
Yeah.
Ride. The mindset is just different. And on top of that, kind of piggybacking with this, you can really, really spend some time appreciating your significant other, appreciating the blessings you have in life, appreciating and getting to know those friends on a deeper level, really truly creating bonds that can't be broken and severed. Just taking the time away from the hustle and bustle to do a shared passion. My wife and our trip are always very, very foundational to strengthening our relationship. Going with Matt and Shannon was an amazing time for us last year. When we go in the near future, we have our friends that come up pretty the kids are there, but we'll for those little instances where, hey, let's just sit around. Yeah, Addie, Bryce, yeah, go run off and grab yourself some caramel corn. Go run off and find the Remy or the egg or the whatever scavenger hunt's going on. Yeah, I trust you to go into the pavilion if you know exactly where we are. You both have cell phones. I trust you to go off into the pavilion looking for the Figment or the whatever and coming back. And just having a bit of that downtime, that relaxation. The pace of an adult trip cannot be overlooked. It is absolutely wonderful to just kind of, and on top of that, like sleep in late, rest during the middle of the day, stay out late, whatever you want to do, because you're not responsible for a tiny human tagging along.
Yeah, I mean, we don't stay. My wife and I are lucky enough to where our anniversary runs like right when Disney tapes the Christmas specials, like that first week that they've got the Christmas stuff up. And, you know, we've been able to see like Fits in the Tantrums. Now, there's a great story behind that, which we won't get into, but we wouldn't have done that if we had little humans with us, because that was like 1 o'clock in the morning and we're just hanging around the park waiting for them to do like the 30th take of this one line of the song. But that's exactly the point, is without the little humans, you've got a little bit more flexibility. You know, my number one kind of piggybacks off of your number two on the tours is, you know, you can enjoy some of those finer dining restaurants and not have to worry about your little human ordering the chicken fingers or ordering a dish and eating 3 bites of it and saying that they don't like it and then having to go somewhere else and buy them their chicken nuggets or a pizza or whatever.
Well, and some of those fancy menus on that topic, like I'm thinking of Sanaa especially, or not Sanaa, Animal Kingdom.
Yak and Yeti.
No, Tippins. Like Tiffin's menu, it is phenomenal. It's a wonderful experience, but I'll never take my kids there again because I had gone when I was there by myself with you because you had to leave a day early. I went to Tiffin's on my own. And then, so the next trip I booked to Tiffin's and I took my kids there and I went, this was a mistake. But it just wasn't like even the children's menu was very off-palate, exotic flavors. And an adult is going to find something to enjoy about that, but a kid, not so much.
Well, and I even think of some place like Skipper Canteen or Citrico's, places like that they offer wildly different menus, but there isn't a whole lot that are like right down a kid's alley. I mean, you've got to really look at some of these menus to make sure, hey, on the kid's side, is there going to be something that my kid's going to like? You know, and we do that, you know, like I said, we're going to Disneyland here in a few months. We've been looking at their menus pretty consistently and just trying to figure out, hey, is there stuff that Braden's going to eat? Is there a steak or something that Allie will eat? That kind of stuff, to where we can kind of build our meal plan based off of that. Without the little humans, gives you a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more room on that. Hey, we can go to some of these nicer places, you know.
Well, and on that, like Takumi Thai and Le Cellier and you know, Monsieur Paul and all, those are just straight up not designed with kids in mind.
Correct.
Right. Now, in juxtaposition to that, I will compliment Brown Derby at how accessible their kids menu is, but still maintaining kind of that upper echelon restaurant environment.
Yeah, and there are restaurants that do that, but I mean, that kind of pulls in the why do you want to use a travel agent aspect on a trip. Is we know these menus. We look at these menus, we figure out these menus and know which ones are very kid friendly and which ones aren't. So, you know, it's a big thing, and that's one of those things that, you know, Shannon has it on her list. You've talked about it. I talk about it. It's about pace. It's about, you know, different options that you don't think about when you have the kids with you. And in the end, there are 100 more reasons why to take an adult trip. Some of them we won't even talk about on the show, but it is what it is. I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, Shannon and I take an adult-only trip once every couple of years. And it used to be we'd go to Vegas one trip, and then we go to Disney the next trip. And so we'd be at Disney every 4 years. Now it's every trip is to Disney, it seems like. And there's a reason. I mean, you have a lot of options. It's a little bit closer for us. It ends up being a little bit cheaper than doing Vegas for us. So it just makes a lot more sense. So yeah. So lots of reasons to take an adult trip. Peter, another good top 3. If you watched it live and it was choppy and all kinds of stuff, we will repost it as a standalone segment here in the next week, so just be on the lookout for that. And we're going to get into the final segment, which is going to be about Lorcana.
Where's my jazz?
All right. Well, welcome to the DPI and our Lorcana segment. Disney Planning Insights is the podcast. My name's Matt. Over on the other screen is Peter. And give you a little bit of background. If you've watched our other episodes, this is episode number 7 now. Our first few episodes focused on kind of the rules, what the game is, that kind of stuff, the cards. Our middle episodes so far have been some pack opening and some like early gameplay where I look like a damn fool playing this game.
You're wrecked.
I did, and I'm continuing to get wrecked on Pixelborn. So if you want to come find me and beat my ass it's pixel-born DPI matte. But I have like a 17% win rate right now. So
Whoa.
yeah, which means there are people worse than me, which is bad.
Not many.
Not many. And I'm doing it in like the upper level, so I'm out of like the wood level, which is the base level. I'm into the bronze, and I'm actually a level 4 bronze now. I've actually won enough games in a row to get to level 4 bronze. So so we're getting there. So the goal of this is kind of twofold. First, we want to let people learn Lorcana with us. That's kind of what the whole basis of the segment is kind of going through. If you've never played a trading card game like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or anything like that, this gives you a good foundation on how those games work, with a bias towards Lorcana and, you know, our love for Disney. So in tonight's episode, we're going to get into a little bit of deck building, and we're going to start out with some of the basics, and then we're going to kind of get into some more advanced concepts when it gets to deck building. So Peter, since you're kind of the resident expert on this, let's talk about what can a deck consist of in Lorcana?
Resident expert. I don't know about that. Okay, so you want, like, I'm building a deck.
What can be in it? Yeah.
All right. So when you build a deck, you're going to first start. So I'm just talking about my collection. So like here, because there's 2 series. Here's Sapphire 1, Sapphire 2. All right. Here's Steel 1, Steel 2. So like all of my Steel cards are in these 2 boxes. All my Sapphire cards are in these 2 boxes. I've got all my other boxes sitting nearby as well. Got all the cards sorted into the 3 different types of cards, the characters versus the actions versus the items. Then within there, I have them all numerically sorted, which is also alphabetically sorted, because I am absolutely trying to make sure that I get a complete Series 1 and a complete Series 2. Here I come, eBay. But anyway, back to the question.
Peter needs some money.
Yeah. If you click the link below, Sarah McLachlan, In the Arms of an Angel, for just 25 cents a day. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 inks. And just really quickly, just so we understand this, we can talk more in detail about this, but Amethyst, Ruby, and Steel are typically like offensive. They allow you to attack, they allow you to challenge and kind of stop your opponents a little bit. And Amber, Emerald, and Sapphire are more support, so they're going to allow you to get that inkwell going, or get your characters healed, or quest a little bit more. And so it is a good idea to maybe grab one of each of those, right? So like grab Amethyst and put it with Sapphire, or put Ruby with Emerald, or whatever else. It is currently in the community, there's a lot of argument for Emerald with Steel, making a deck of Emerald and Steel for various reasons, which we'll talk about more in this episode.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick my 2 inks. Then I'm going to go into those inks. So like right here, I've got Sapphire and Steel, which I think immediately violates. No, that would work. So
no, that's kind of where my deck is right now. So
yeah. So Sapphire and Steel is a base deck, but like here I just have all my cards. These aren't even the base decks. I do have the base deck separately, so that way I can just grab a pre-made deck and run. But I go in here, and then once I'm in there, I have 2 other conditions for my deck. So it can be made of 2 inks, and then you cannot have more than 4 of a single card, and your deck must be more than 60 cards. There's no upper limit. Just keep in mind that throughout the course of the game, a game is typically going to be over by the time you get about 30 to 40 cards in your hand. the game will be done and over by then.
Yeah,
and so,
I played against a Ruby control deck today, and we got down to where I had about 11 cards left in a 60 card deck.
So there has to be a little bit of like unknowing in it, right? You can't have a deck of 30 where you're then going to take your discard, shuffle it back into a deck, and you're just going to put these absolute just stunners in there. There's got to be a little bit of, well, you're not going to see them all, okay? And then on top of that, I will also add a quick tip or strategy, and then we'll see what other questions Matt has or things he wants to add. Make sure that as you are choosing your cards, a fair number of them, I would say 80% or higher of them. So in a 60 card deck, 50 or more of them, so on and so forth, are inkable. Because what you can't have is a deck that's like 50-50. So Matt is showing an inkable card. It has that halo around it versus just a simple hexagon. A simple hexagon is not inkable. A halo is inkable. And if you have too high of non-inkable cards, which Matt is showing now, see the difference? You are in trouble because you will stagnate. If your draw goes against you, you are in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And here's the bottom line: if you don't feel a turn was productive, you're right. Like it's the simple. Even from maybe the very first turn, all you do is ink a card and then you pass. But in your second turn, if you don't play a card and ink a card, you're already behind. There are many games like this out there. I'm thinking Jump Drive, which is a version of the whole Race for the Galaxy series by Tom Lehman comes to mind. If you are not on fire from the get-go in Jump Drive, if by turn 3 you're not working, you're in a lot of trouble.
So
Those
you
are
hear
for you board gamers out there.
Yeah, so you hear a lot of different terms. Like, when I start watching videos and that kind of stuff, I start hearing terms like ramp deck and aggro deck and control deck and that kind of stuff. And, they all mean different things. So why don't you talk about, like, when you're building a deck, what are you building a deck towards?
Well, I guess there's 3 aspects of Lorcana in order to be very, very successful. And this is where Matt is also taking notes to increase that 17% win percentage. Right? And this was part of, if you watch, have you posted all of our, what did we play, 3 games that day?
Yeah, so Game 2 went out yesterday. Games 1 and 2 are already out. Game 3 comes out on Friday.
Okay. So you kind of hear me talk to Matt about this as well, because I've had it a little bit longer. I also have a natural advantage of, I own like 300-something board games. So learning game rules and developing strategy, like I've just got this wealth of knowledge of how do I make mechanisms work together and all of that stuff. So one of the things that I talked to Matt about is you've got to be aware of the 3 things that you're trying to do in a Lorcana game. Okay, thing number 1 is you are trying to put characters out that are multi-purpose. And so as you are building your decks, some 3 to 4 ink cards that do somewhere around 2 to 3 damage and have about 4 to 5 willpower, in addition to having 2 lore on a quest. Boy, if you can get a few of those into your deck, it's going to be tough. Right? But then in addition to that, you want cards that, like, there are some items that let you go into your discard pile, grab a card, and put it in your hand. There you go. Maleficent is wonderful. Look at Maleficent right here. She's inkable. She's relatively cheap. If I ink a card for my first 4 turns, I can get her out in turn 4. She does 3 attack which is pretty strong against weaker characters. Having 4 willpower, you know that she can likely withstand attacking a couple of characters, and she does 2 lore on a quest. Like Maleficent right here is a solid Sapphire card that you might want in a deck containing a Sapphire ink. Because here are the 3 things you're trying to do with your deck. You're trying to be able to attack your opponents and keep their cards at bay. You're trying to keep your cards in play for as long as possible. There's my balloons because I put up a 2. And it now registered a second one. And you are trying to quest to get to that 20 lore with your glimmers, which a glimmer is just their fancy way of a card. Like, this is a glimmer of magic in the ink, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, when Matt talks about like an aggro deck, so an aggro deck is going to absolutely stop me from keeping cards in my tableau, because I'm going to have a lot of heavy bruisers. I'm going to have small ink values, maybe 2 to 4, with heavy attack values, maybe somewhere in the 4 to 5 range. And the second you quest that sucker, you better believe they're dead.
Yeah, so it's going to have like a lot of your like fire your cannons and grab your swords and that kind of stuff. Cards that do damage. So it's an aggressive deck basically. Aggro aggressive deck. You're going to be aggressively challenging the opponent, trying to keep cards off of their tableau.
Right. Because that's one of the ways you succeed. If you can keep cards out of your opponent's tableau, well, that also means that you're likely questing a couple cards of your own. And if you can quest a couple of cards while they have none in their tableau, well, you know those cards are safe. Because unless they pull a surprise out, like an item or an action or a song or something,
yeah,
you know that ink's got to dry. So you know that you can quest your characters and they're going to survive to the next round. If you watch those games, here's what ultimately happened in all 3 of mine and Matt's games. I got a strong tableau of characters built while mitigating and minimizing his tableau. And ultimately, I got it to the point where he didn't have enough attack. And so I just said, screw it, quest. Here's 5 or 6 lore. And Matt couldn't. I
had no answers. Yeah.
Yeah, I had too many characters in play. There was nothing that he could do because he didn't get characters into play to minimize my ability to keep characters into play.
Correct.
And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. To absolutely overwhelm an opponent, you're trying to keep their characters out of play and keep your characters in play. Like, I don't know, I almost scolded him in our 3rd game because he had a Eudora, so Tiana's mom. She only does 1 damage. She has 9 willpower, but she quests for 2. And Matt had her in play and said he looked at mine and saw that, yes, between 3 cards, I would have had enough attack to kill Eudora. But he chose not to quest her. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yep, I know. I've got a plan. And then on the very next turn, I quested the 3 characters that I would have had to take Eudora out with. I quested them and got 5 lore.
Yeah.
If Matt would have quested Eudora, I would have had to choose then between 5 lore or taking out Eudora, which at least would have put some decision in my hands. Well, Eudora only had 1 strength. She couldn't even take out a single one of those 3 characters that I just quested with. And so in addition to that, I put another character or 2 into play, and the very next turn I get like 8 lore.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for episode 3 that's coming out this Friday.
There is no spoiler. I have a 17% win rate or something like that. And I didn't win any of the games against you.
And I think I'm, between you and my family, I think I'm sitting at a 100% win rate.
Okay, so, there you go. So I've got the same win rate as a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. So
nice.
What?
Your kids are playing it online as well?
Oh, no. I was talking about your kids.
Oh yeah, against me head to head.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the same win rate as my kids.
So yeah, so you're building this deck, and I think one other thing that you have to keep in mind, and I'm learning this more and more as I play, is you've got to figure out what style of player you are. I started playing a ramp deck thinking that I wanted to play long game. Get cards into my inkwell as fast as possible using things like the fishbone quill, one jump ahead, that type of stuff. Cards that I can build my ink really, really fast, and then get to that legendary bell that would be doing 5 lore every time she came out. And the more and more I played that, the more and more I realized that I had to wait too long before I could really do damage, and decks that came out aggressively against me always won. I never had an answer at the beginning. So I really quickly changed kind of the setup of my deck.
Yeah, you got to do, like, if you're going to go for ramp, you got to go like a little bit of aggro ramp, because you've got, while you are ramping your own ink, out opponent's cards. Oh, we got poor quality again.
Yeah, hold on a second.
What part of that?
Yeah, so you have to build it like an aggro deck.
Well, aggro ramp, because you can put those ramp cards in that you're talking about with the ultimate goal, but you also have to have some small heavy hitters.
Yes.
So you've got to get some small ink, 3 damage things out there, so that as you're building that inkwell and you're working to get those 7s and 8s out there, which is the goal of the ramp deck, is to put those big inkers out there that are going to give you 3 to 4 lore, that are going to have 8 willpower. You've also got to be throwing.
This has been
like
kind of one of my go-tos.
I can quest it for 2, but I can also, like, you've got to get, if you're going to go ramp, you've also got to put some low ink aggro cards in there, so that as your opponent is doing stuff like that Aurora card, wonderful, 2 lore, but if I'm building a ramp deck, boy, if my opponent gets that Aurora out and lets her roll for a few turns, I'm hosed.
Yeah.
So I better, in my ramp deck, have a couple of 2 to 3 ink, maybe even 1 inkers that do about 2 to 3 damage, so that I can get that out into play, not be worrying about questing it, be worried about, as my opponent puts their cards out, I'm going to kick them out of the game. Yeah. Because I'm playing the long game of, I'm waiting for this goofy that does 4 lore and has 10 willpower, that I know I'm going to mitigate what you're able to control. I'm going to put this goofy out and get at least 8 lore before you're able to do anything about it.
Yeah. And like I said, I think my learning curve is starting to get a little bit steeper as I play, just in the fact that I'm seeing what is bothering me. Like you had talked about the Emerald Ruby deck.
Emerald Steel.
Oh, well, Emerald and Steel as well, but I've played against a bunch of Emerald Ruby, and what Emerald does is Emerald controls your card, and it controls the cards you have in your hand more than anything else, because you've got like a Daisy card in there that every time that it quests, you have to discard, and the Flynn Rider cards in there are completely based off of what the opponent's got in their hand. So those hand controlled decks I struggle with as well, because with a ramp deck you're trying to get cards in your inkwell, so you're running through your hand really quick, and unless you have something like a Whole New World or something like that to where you're going to be drawing cards back into your hand, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because you're just going to run out of cards. You're going to run your hand dry really quick.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when you're building a deck from scratch, so we're talking about that 80% ink ratio. How many actions, how many songs, how many items are you trying to put in that deck, depending on what you're doing?
So first of all, if the way you win the game is by questing. So, I guess my answer to that question lies in look at each ink in each series. So if you go, and I don't have them up here with me, but if you go into like each checklist, here's ultimately what you find in each ink. There are about 30-ish cards in each ink, 25-ish cards in each ink that are characters. There are a few 3 to 5 cards that are items, and there are a few more 8 to 10 that are actions, and of those actions maybe a couple of them are songs. Okay, that right there explains your deck breakdown. The same way the inks are broken down. If you don't have kind of a 7 out of 10, 8, like 7 out of 10, maybe 12 out of 15 is probably the better way to say it. So let's go with that number, because 15 extrapolates to 30, 30 twice extrapolates to 60, and now I'm at a deck. So 12 out of 15 cards, 11 out of 15 cards should be characters. Then maybe 1 or 2